This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us talking team and hosted by Eamon Barclay, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
It is Friday. I'm your host, Eamon Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of two. Yes, it's Jeff Burnage and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Well, Stan, what's happening with you dealing with people's emails and logging them out of mysterious computers and things like that? You've become a bit of an art form in that arena.
Well, all things are possible, mate. All things are possible, but yeah, it does seem a bit strange. I must admit, it's not something I was ever used to doing. I just sort of fell into it somehow. I don't quite understand how. I'm not really a man of this new technology revolution. I just sort of plod along like. It's weird, but there we are.
Yeah, you're accomplished at it now, that's for sure. Jeff, has stardom affected you in your Millwall Community Trust interview with Peter Varney? Are you and Peter now going to become talking buddies on programmes in the London area?
Well, we have known each other for quite a long time, but I enjoyed doing the interview. I thought he was very good, very lucid man, and I think he'll be a great help to Sean in Sean's first couple of years running that Millwall Community Trust. But what a great first edition of it was, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of it comes out. Anyone should listen to that. It's really good.
And so they should.
Well, I have to say, I mean, if the others are to come are as good as the first one, you know, we ain't going to go far wrong.
Yep, I'd agree with that. Tonight we welcome a man who was born in Harlow and spent his youth career at Stevenage. After a single appearance for the senior team, he had a couple of loans before leaving Broadhall Way to join Dagenham and Redbridge in 2005, where he continued to be loaned out until he joined Fisher Athletic and then Peterborough. He first joined us on loan in January 2010 and eventually joined us permanently on a 3-year deal as we paid $250,000 for his services in June 2010. After 3 years and 15 starts plus 27 from the bench, 5 goals and a couple of loans, he joined Orient in 2013, where he scored his first career hat-trick. Stints at Barnet, Chelmsford and East Thurrock followed, and it was at East Thurrock that he hung up his boots in January of 2019. He always looked dangerous out wide or up front for us, and I always thought I watched him so many more times than his record shows. Let's welcome the memorable and passionate player that he was, Sean Batt.
Hi guys, how you doing?
All right, Sean,
great to hear from you.
That was a fantastic introduction, I must admit. Could you do it again for me?
Yeah, well, Brian Horn asked for the same thing, but it was your introduction that I gave him.
Good evening, Sean. It's Jeff Burnage here. How the devil are you?
Hi, Jeff. I'm very well, thank you. It's great to hear you or hear your voice again.
So, are you missing playing?
Do you know what? To be completely honest, no, I'm not. I don't know how long that feeling's going to stay, but you know, I knew my time was coming to an end, and you know, everything that I'd been through in my career, I kind of had the feeling that I needed a break, and I have taken a break. But right now, I'm not. But you know, that could change.
Tell me, Sean, I saw a part of a video about you becoming an IT consultant. I think you ought to take up motivational speaking too. What do you reckon?
Why'd you say that?
I'll tell you what, I said earlier you were a passionate player, but you come across so well on that video, and you really meant it. And, well, I was just taken by how you were talking about it. I thought, we need to get him in front of some of these people that need a bit of development and support. I could see you working for our community trust and talking to the kids and making them feel good about themselves.
Oh, you'll have to get him to give me a call. That's very kind of you to say. Very kind of you to say.
I shall be in touch with Sean Daly tomorrow.
I'll keep my phone on loud.
That's it.
How did the loan from Peterborough the initial loan from Peterborough come about? What did you know about it?
Oh God, it's going way back. I love talking about these things. It come about, to be honest. I remember Peterborough at the time, we were struggling in the Championship. I think we were rock bottom. I remember well, actually. I had a game on the Saturday, and I came on as sub for about half an hour. I think we lost the game 2-0. I had an argument in the changing room with Joe Lewis, the goalkeeper, after the game. Which was fantastic. And then on the Tuesday, I remember there being a reserve game against Norwich reserves, and I think we won something like 5-2, 6-2. And Doherty played centre half for Norwich, and I think I've scored 2 goals, and I had a really good game. And then I remember getting a call on the Wednesday saying I had 3 clubs interested in wanting to take me on loan, and kind of that Peterborough had okayed it. And obviously one of those clubs was Millwall. I think the other one was Leeds, and the other one was Norwich. And Norwich and Leeds were battling it out for automatic promotion at the time. So yeah, I had a great selection of clubs to choose from, and Millwall was the one that swayed me.
Fantastic, and we're glad you came.
Yeah,
Who was the manager that bombed you out of there then on loan?
Do you know what? That season we had so many managers. Ferguson had gone.
Was it Barry Fry you were dealing with on it, or was
I think it probably, yeah. I think it could well have been. It could well have been where we didn't quite have a new manager in place. I think the second manager had come in, and then he'd moved on, and yeah, so it was probably orchestrated by Barry Fry. But look, no hard feelings. Obviously, things worked out well for me that season, as obviously Peterborough went down and Millwall went up, so it was quite a nice transition for me.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, Stan here. I mean, I can remember your first game at Millwall at home. I got an idea you started from the beginning of the game.
Yes, I did.
And I sit on the Coldblow Lane end. And there was 1 or 2 people sitting round me at the time. People were saying, who is this guy? You know, what's he all about? And you've been playing about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden some of these blokes, you had them sitting on the edge of their seat. Right?
Oh. Yeah, I thought he was going to say they were giving me abuse all game.
No. No. And did you score? Did you score in your debut?
I did. Yeah, on my debut I scored. Yeah, I think it was Southend. We won 2-0, I think.
Yeah, the game ended, as you say, we won. And then one of my mates who would be sitting next to me, who was on the edge of his seat, he rings me up the next day and he said to me, "Oh, you know that guy Sean Batt, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." Well, I said, "I know of him, yeah." He'd read or he'd heard somewhere that you'd been dosed up with a flu or something. And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what," I said, if that's how he plays when he's got the flu, I said, you know, he can't be so bad when he's fully... Did you have the flu or what? I mean, he did say that at the time. Where he got it from, I don't know. But
you know what? My memory's not great at the best of times, but going that far back, I can't honestly remember. But it doesn't sound like something someone would just make up. So,
sure, yeah.
I remember my first training session was actually with Millwall on the Monday. So I remember coming down to the training ground on the Monday. I trained. I met Kenny Jackett and the players, and then it was straight to the game Tuesday evening. So I may have come down with something after training Monday, and but yeah, I mean it's not completely far fetched. So yeah.
Sean, you mentioned Kenny Jackett. What were your impressions of him as a manager?
As a manager, to be honest with, when it comes to Kenny, I've got a lot of respect for him as a manager. I think he's had a fantastic career. He was always great with me, showed a lot of faith in me after the injury, stuck by me. You know, we didn't always see eye to eye, and I think after my injury, I think I read it was around sort of 18 months, 16 months before I played another competitive game. So, you know, as you can imagine, the sort of money he'd spent on me, and I had a lot of setbacks in that time, and I was desperate to get fit and play, and at the same time, he was desperate to get me fit and get me playing. So, you know, even though we both wanted the same thing, you know, sometimes our frustrations got the better of us. But, you know, nothing was ever personal. And as I said, he stuck by me. He's given me some of the greatest moments, not in my footballing career, but in my life. Yeah. So I'm incredibly grateful to him.
That's a statement and up. We had a question come in from Bethany Warren, and she said, how did we ever miss you when you were down the road playing at Fisher Athletic?
Yeah, crazy really, isn't it? The fact that I was at Fisher but had to go all the way to Peterborough to come back to Millwall is a
bit of an incredible story.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You never had a feeling that anyone from Millwall was watching you when you was playing there then?
No, to be honest, and I never really thought that I would end up going from, the Conference South to League One. It was quite incredible, really, and quite surreal. I know I'd had a great season. We actually lost in the playoff semi-final, and I took the last penalty and completely skied it over the bar. And I think I was on the floor in tears, and I just remember, I think we played Hampton, one of the two, and I remember players coming up to me saying, don't worry, you've got your move, blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking, what they're talking about. And, pre-season, the next season, I was still at Fisher. So, it wasn't if it wasn't for a trial game up at Peterborough, and I don't even think they were looking at me. I think they were looking at a couple of the other players in our squad, So there was a lot of luck involved, which I think you need in football.
You do.
Yeah, Sean, I remember when there was a game when you played. I think I've got an idea it was the season we went up on the playoffs. In 2010, we played Leeds at Leeds.
Yeah.
You scored a goal there. We beat them 2-0. I think Steve Morrison scored the first one.
Yeah.
And you scored the one late on in the second half. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and remember it well.
And because always beating Leeds at Leeds, I love it. I do love it. But you was a good player for Millwall. There's no question about that. All right, he was possibly unlucky on injuries. Well, there's not a lot really you can do about that. You're supposed to some degree you're in the hands of the gods, aren't you? If you know what I mean. But, it's not something you have control over.
No, absolutely not. And to be completely honest, I don't know if. Obviously I was injured for a long time. I had a lot of setbacks, and I maybe never came back the player I was. But I don't know if people still to this day actually realise how serious my injury was. Just to give you an idea, when it happened, I remember being stretchered off, and I was in absolute agony. I remember the paramedics. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't sit still on the stretcher. My whole leg, the nerves in my leg, it was just shaking. I couldn't sit still. I remember the guy saying, "Do you want some gas and air?" And I said, "Yes, give it to me. Give it to me." I remember giving me the gas and air. I went to hospital. I had an X-ray, and nothing showed up in the X-ray. And they sent me home. They thought it was just bruising. They thought there was nothing wrong with me. And I remember getting a lot of stick from, my family, people like Liam Trotter, thinking I was just a big wimp, which obviously is not great when you're playing for a club like Millwall to be seen like a big wimp. But I remember going in the next day to see Bobby Bassick, and my leg had ballooned up. And he said, "Look, it's probably just bruising. You'll probably be back in about a month when it's all settled down. But we're going to send you for an MRI scan anyway." Anyway, sorry, I'm going to try and cut a long story short.
Yeah.
I remember getting a call after the MRI saying, "You've done your ACL. You're going to be out for 6 to 9 months." And my whole world just collapsed.
Yeah.
But to make matters worse, my scan was then sent to another specialist. So I then got another call a couple of days later. I think it was from Kenny Jackett saying, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You've not just done your ACL, you've snapped all your lateral ligaments and you've ripped your hamstring off the bone. It was a triple injury in one." And he said, "You're not going to be out for 6 to 9 months. You're going to be out for 9 to 12 months." So, at the time, my injury had never been seen before at Millwall. And to be honest, I didn't actually think I would ever play again. So I'm incredibly grateful for being able to play as long as I did.
Yeah.
Sean, where was that game when you got injured? What was the...
It was AFC Wimbledon, second pre-season friendly after signing.
What, away?
Yeah, it was away, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay.
See, I mean, what normally happens... Well, Sean, I mean, Jeff might know different, but from my sort of point of view, I mean, invariably what happens is, your player goes down, then he injured, and then, like they get taken off. Like, I mean, for example, the best example I can think of was at the start of last season, Frankie Fielding, right, the goalkeeper. Right, he's on about 25 minutes, he goes to kick the ball, he's like nowhere near him, right, and all of a sudden he just collapses in an heap, right? And then he's got this injury, and it then turns out he's out for the rest of the season, right? But what I'm saying is, normally, it comes out there, well, like in his case, we got this injury, and then sort of from then on, every now and again, you might pick it up in the paper or see something on the website.
Yeah.
And it says, well, he went here and this happened and so said this and what, you know what I mean? And normally that's all you tend to get. I mean, I don't ever recall in your particular injury that you're talking about until I've listened to what you said you had happened, but I don't ever actually remember that being said at the time by Kenny Jackett in the programme or whatever. They just said, like you was injured and they sort of toned it down, if it's the right expression.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think you're probably right.
Sean, let's move on to happier things apart from injuries.
Yes.
Of the goals that you scored for Millwall, which one would you say sticks in your mind?
What
was the goal like at Leeds? Because I can't remember it. Describe it to me.
Yeah, the Leeds goal was a great goal. I think just because, not just where it was, but the importance on the game. And I was quite disappointed prior to the game because I was hoping to start, and I remember finding out at the team hotel that Kenny had gone with Chopper and Morrison, and I was on the bench. So when I did get asked to come on, I was keen to obviously try and impress, and it was such a massive game. We were obviously chasing automatic promotion, and we were third, Leeds were second, and I think had we won, it would have put us, within a couple of points of them. So, I just remember the ball bouncing and me kind of just nudging the defender out the way, just me judging where the ball was going to go, probably a little bit better than him, and then going down the line and then realising that I can't use my left foot, so that I needed to cut in at some point. Managing to cut inside and then just head down, just thinking just hit it, and it was just luckily for me the keeper didn't have his best moment, and he went in at the bottom corner, and I think it was a very important goal. I mean, it's a shame we lost out to on the final day of the season to winning automatic promotion. But if I could have chose winning automatic promotion or winning at Wembley in front of 55,000 people, I know which one I would have chosen beforehand.
I reckon.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of characters there, Chopper and Steve Morrison. Were they the strongest characters in the club at the time, or were there some other people that liked to assert themselves in the dressing room?
There was a few, to be honest. I think when you play for a club like Millwall, you're always going to have a number of strong characters, because you need to be a strong character to play for the club. So. It's funny, really. I remember in the beginning when I signed, thinking Morrison hated me. It was just, it just felt like we didn't really have any sort of rapport or chemistry. And after a few weeks of playing together, we got on really well, which was good. But I was the kind of character that just got on with everyone. Really, I've always been kind of happy and positive, and when you got people like sort of Alan Dunn and Fordy, the dressing room was a nice place to be in at Millwall, I must admit, when we were especially that season.
Good group of players, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
When we got to Wembley, or on the way to Wembley, I mean,
Yeah.
what was your sort of was going through your mind at that point, and obviously during the game and that?
I mean, the whole thing for me was surreal. I mean, I wasn't expecting to play. I think it must have been. I think it must have happened in the last game of the season, the final league game. But I'd done my hamstring, so I missed. I think I missed both of the playoff semi-finals against Huddersfield. So I think I'd been injured for probably 2.5, possibly 3 weeks, and then I remember on the Thursday before the Wembley game, Kenny telling me that he was going to start me, and I remember thinking, what? In such a massive game, the fact that I'd been injured for sort of 2.5, 3 weeks, I hadn't trained. I think I probably trained on the Thursday or the Friday. And he wanted to start me right wing as well. At least if he'd have started me up top, I can, I can run around. But there's plenty of moments where I can sort of reserve my energy. But I was thinking right wing after being injured for 3 weeks. I was really worried. But just turning up at the stadium and being on that touchline and looking out at all those fans. I mean, when you've got 40-odd thousand Millwall fans. They're screaming, chanting, that will get you through any moment in your life. And, I think I played that game purely off of adrenaline, which would explain why I went off with cramp after about 66 minutes, which I still get the mick taken out of me to this very day. But it was just a surreal moment.
Can I just ask you, when we played Huddersfield in the second leg at the Den, was you at the ground that night?
Yes, I was there. Yes, I didn't play, but I was there.
And what did you make of the atmosphere that night?
It was incredible. I mean, I'd never experienced in my career prior to joining Millwall the kind of atmosphere I witnessed at home, especially at home games. It was electric. Electric, something that and it's probably one of the things that I will miss the most about football is walking into a packed stadium and that feeling of scoring a goal and thousands of fans cheering and screaming, and I mean those moments are priceless. You'll never get them back again.
No. Sure. Right. Many of us have great memories of you playing for Millwall, despite you being plagued by injury for a large amount of the time you were with us. But before you go, do you still look out for the Millwall results? Yes,
absolutely. I had a bit of a break from football last year, but I was really pleased to see how well Millwall finished the season. I mean, it's great to see the club stable in the Championship, but not just fighting off relegation, but actually competing. It'd be great to see Millwall in the playoffs this season. Once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. And I'll keep my fingers crossed that one day I'll see Millwall in the Premier League playing against England's finest. Yeah, absolutely.
How about then a prediction for Saturday's game against Stoke at the Den?
Well, it's got to be a Millwall win. I'm going to go for 2-0 with a clean sheet.
Lovely. That's great stuff. Thanks, Sean. Until the next time, all the best.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers,
Sean.
guys. Enjoy your evening. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, we'll take a break now and listen to young Kai Bennett talking about his Millwall Fan TV.
Hey, I'm Kai from Millwall Fan TV. On Millwall Fan TV, I cover pre-match predictions, post-match analysis, and a bit of full-time reaction when we can go to the games. Also, quite a few X-Lounge chats on my YouTube, actually, as we speak right now. I've got some Martin Wolford, Scott Barron, that just a couple to name a few. Yeah, so do it for the love of Millwall. Absolutely love Millwall, and let's hope we can push on next year and make the playoffs. And if you could subscribe to Millwall Fan TV, that'd be absolutely amazing. And hopefully we can follow the journey together. Comedy Lines.
I'm Eamon, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnage and Stan Godwin. It was our first competitive game of the season last Saturday in the Carabao Cup, when we took a short trip to Crawley to reunite with former Millwall favourite Tony Craig, who joined them this season, and also former Lion Jack Powell. We ran out, I could have said won out, but ran out, 3-1 winners, with a debut goal from Scott Malone on his second debut with us. An own goal from their goal scorer Ashford, and the final goal from that man, Matt Smith. Well, what do you reckon, Stan?
Well, it was a good win. I mean, no doubt about that. I mean, I found it strange in that, you know, you had the League Cup. I mean, the League Cup being played before the start of the season. But you know, my view has always been that the League Cup and the FA Cup they're important competitions. And they should be respected accordingly. But no, it was a good good win. The only thing I couldn't get my head round was their manager. I mean, he's something else, isn't he? When he was giving an interview, I mean, dear oh dear. But no, I mean, an excellent win, and you know, and let's see, because if you start winning games, be it cup games, it breeds confidence, and that's what's important here.
I can explain why that manager was like that, Stan, Johnny Yems. For a while, he was one of our academy coaches.
Yeah.
And he always thought he should be higher up the food chain, if you like. He had a very confident man, but I do remember him being a bad loser. And I don't mind a bad loser. I'm too good a loser, if anything. But by God, he was a bad loser that day. He couldn't stand it, could he?
I've never seen anything like it.
No,
anyway.
Apart from the two you mentioned, Tony and Jack Powell, the other midfield player, Danny Bullman, was also a Millwall Academy player.
Was he?
Yeah, he left when he was 16. He had an older brother called Darren. They both were. But Danny Bullman, he's over 40. So he's doing very well to be still playing. But look, I enjoyed the game, even though in typical Millwall fashion, my language was something to be covered up in the first 25 minutes, frantically trying to get I Follow to work. But
well, at least you got your money back, Jeff.
All credit to the club, because they've obviously dug their heels in with the EFL, and we're all going to get our money back. I haven't seen mine yet. Has anybody seen their refund yet?
No, I reckon it'll come. Don't worry.
Hopefully it'll come in time to buy it again for Saturday's game, because I'm one of the unfortunates that hadn't yet renewed their season ticket.
Oh dear, dear.
But there you are. No, it was nice to win the game comfortably. It was comfortable. The stats really showed that, and in the end, it was a blessing to have that game, because it was a competitive game, and I think it did us a power of good. So let's hope that is, it's going to be good for the early weeks in the season.
Let's hope so. And I think it was nice to see Tony Craig give a masterclass in how to give a post-match interview when you're on the losing side. He really sounded good. But
he is a real hero of myself and many Millwall fans. And he absolutely loves the club, by the way. I think that came across in that interview, and I just wish him all the best. A great servant for the club.
Yeah. Well, next up, we're going to hear from Jeff again, and he's going to update us on the Lionesses' friendly defeat against Cheshunt and his thoughts looking ahead to their first league outing away to Stevenage Development. What's happening, Jeff?
Last week at Cheshunt was the fifth and final pre-season game. Katie Whitmore and Nick Farr, the management team, are still experimenting. You can still roll on, roll off in those pre-season games. So they were looking at players that won't necessarily make the starting lineup. So they were a bit deflated after the game, but there's no need because we absolutely dominated the second half. We missed a hatful of chances. I'm sure that it's a blessing in disguise. We actually lost the game 2-1, but this week we've got Stevenage in the first league game, and they're going to be one of the stronger teams in our league. Last season we did play them twice with a narrow win and a 1-1 draw. So not guaranteed. I think I've said before the first 3 games are going to be interesting tests for that new management team and all these new players. So 2 o'clock at Stevenage on Sunday, and once again, can I plug the Twitter feed that the Lionesses have? Announce the team, give the highlights, tell you how many goals, when they're scored, who the subs are, run by the excellent Alex Russell of the Supporters Club. That's Millwall_LFC. I recommend you all tune in. I'm hoping for a great performance and a good result.
Yeah, at Millwall_LFC.
Away at Stevenage, and of course it is behind closed doors.
And for the first time, we hear from a Millwall Romans player, playwright and actor Tom Baker, not the one that was in Doctor Who, about their game at St Paul's and what is coming up next.
So I'm here with our team captain Jay Lemonius after our 4-0 victory over a well-organised Stonewall Thirds today. So Jay, first game of the season, how did you think it went?
Yeah, I thought it went really well. I think first 10-15 minutes played a side that obviously came out to sort of set up not to lose. I think we struggled to kind of break them down a bit. I think we got into our passing quite quickly, but I think we sort of rushed our passes and we kind of weren't as patient as we have been sort of during the pre-season. But once we kind of got into our groove, once we sort of developed a bit of patience, I think the first goal going in obviously helps. We had a bit of fortune with the finish, but once the first goal went in, we sort of relaxed a bit and we kind of played a lot better, particularly that second half of the first half.
Okay. Picking up on your point about pre-season, how was that? How were the pre-season friendlies? How's training been going?
Fantastic, yeah. I thought we've had probably the best pre-season we've ever had since I've been at the club. We've kind of had really great numbers, particularly training. We tried to implement a new style of play, particularly looking at the new pitch that we were on. And yeah, I think we've had some really tough games, really tested ourselves. And I think our performance today kind of showed where we are at this stage in the season. Pre-season being as intense as it was, kind of put us in a good position to perform well today, particularly looking at a side who were difficult to break down. I think if we had this game earlier on in the pre-season or earlier on in the season, I think we'd have struggled in terms of fitness and patience. But yeah, I think we kind of stuck to our principles today, performed really well, and yeah, 4-0 win, particularly first game of the season, was really positive.
As captain, what is your personal ambition for the team?
Obviously, first win the league, and that's our bread and butter. We got given the trophy for our victory in the league last year today, so that was obviously a bit of a boost before we kicked off. I think last year we achieved victory by playing a particular way. We obviously want to play effective football, but given our new ground, given the kind of ability that we have all over the park, I think we want to try and implement the style of play which is a little bit more pleasing on the eye, and a little bit less direct. So we're trying to really focus on getting into good habits of sort of building play and progressing the ball up the pitch in a more efficient way. I think today was a great example of kind of how much we've progressed and how positively the pre-season has kind of helped us with that.
Yeah, we've moved from North London to St Paul's. Talk to me about that transition. What's it like playing at St Paul's?
It's been great, yeah. Our pitch back in North London wasn't the best, so again I think the style of play that we played last year was kind of conducive to our conditions. Now we've got obviously incredible facilities, we've got a massive pitch, allows us to kind of utilise a lot of the players, the ball playing players that we have, qualities to kind of keep the ball in phases, progress the ball more efficiently and kind of control games a bit better. And again, yeah, the facilities really help. Incredibly grateful. I think it's going to be the challenges kind of when we're not at home. Hopefully we could create a bit of more of a fortress and fingers crossed we could go unbeaten at home. I think we will be tough to beat in St Paul's, but the challenge will be when we go away grounds and we're playing on pitches that aren't as nice as ours, and pitches that aren't going to allow us to kind of play the way we want to play. It's just up to us how we adjust and how we adapt.
And what's the next few weeks looking like?
We've obviously had quite an intense pre-season training. We've got a couple of weeks off, obviously we're still going to be training, but we haven't got a match for another 2 weeks. So I think it's just about rest, recover, try and consolidate in training a lot of the stuff that we've learned over pre-season, try and continue those habits, and hopefully be ready for our next game in 3 weeks' time. I think everybody's looking really fit at the moment. I think today's game kind of showed just where our level was compared to the opposition. After about half an hour, they were blowing and they were obviously sitting and dropping deeper and deeper, and I think our players looked much fitter, and obviously we knew we had the quality anyway. So yeah, I think we're in a good place, good position. It's just about kind of trying to keep that momentum up, even though we've got a couple of weeks break.
Excellent result for Millwall Romans, and congratulations on being presented with the LUL Shield for 2019-20 on Sunday too. So let's see you do it again. What do you reckon, guys?
Well, it's good to always see a Millwall team winning, and of course the pitch at St Paul's in Salter Road, opposite where Fisher used to play, where our earlier guest Sean Batt will have torn it up a few years ago. It's an artificial surface, a really good one, and it enables teams like the Romans and also the Lionesses to play a really attractive brand of football. And it's a big pitch as well. So, yeah, you do see some great stuff there, and well done the Romans. Let's hope they can retain their title.
You got anything to add, Stan?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested to hear when the captain of the team was saying that, you know, this season they've gone, you know, from a less direct way of playing to, you know, a bit more football, a bit more on the floor, which is something, as you well know, I love all that, but no, I mean, it's good. I mean, it might sound a bit fanciful, and if it does, it's not meant to, but I don't know, everything we Millwall seem to be doing at every sort of level these days seems to be coming off, doesn't it? Football wise and in the community, and you know, it's a sort of bit of a golden period for me. I mean, I have to say, and but no, I mean, you know, all credit to them, and I'm glad it's going so well.
Yeah,
I think it's worth saying, Eamon, that if the fans have been clicking onto our special about the Millwall Community Trust, that in one of the future weeks there's an interview with a couple of the players on Millwall Romans. That's well worth a listen. So look out for that one, everyone.
We'll take another break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about Love Sport Radio.
Bethany Warren here again. Thanks for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current conditions. You can still listen, though, to music both online and on DAB. Podcasts are available on demand. Hopefully, we'll be back on the air with them when normality returns to the marketplace.
I'm Eamon, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff and Stan. Our final guest tonight, I caught up with him earlier. Let's hear from Sam Latham, who is hoping to raise funds for the Demelza House, a hospice for children. But the current pandemic and what's going on have set him back a little bit. But let's hear what Sam has got to say. The pandemic has obviously challenged your objective of getting to Kilimanjaro next year.
January's been cancelled. It's been put back until September. So in between, we was supposed to be doing fundraising. So 2 weekends ago, we decided to do the Three Peaks Challenge, the National Three Peaks Challenge.
Yeah.
So we started at Ben Nevis, moved down to Scarfell in England, and then went over to Snowdon in Wales. And we managed to do it in 28 hours. We got held up a few times with traffic and tarmacking roads and getting lost and all that, but we managed to do it in very good time, the actual climbing. The plan is, because we can complete it in 24 hours, we're going to be doing that again. Last time it was there was 8 of us. This time it's just going to be three of us doing it. So we're all pretty good pace, and we could do it in a car, whereas last time we was in a minibus, and it's quite wide getting, especially around the Peak District. There's quite small lanes, and there's a lot of traffic there.
For sure. So
we'll be doing that, and then after that, there's a challenge called the Welsh 3000, which is all of the peaks in Wales, which is quite, I think it's 3,000 feet.
So how's the fundraising going?
The fundraising's been slow, as expected, because of the lockdown, and it's been hard, but I don't want to push it too much, because it's people's income has been affected by the pandemic, so I'm trying to do the best I can with it, but it is what it is at the moment.
It is very difficult times. We were talking to the Millwall Community Trust, and most of their opportunities to raise money have dried up. If we can, we want to get some of the fans give if they can.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
So, in between all of that, what do you think about Millwall, and how are we doing?
Yes, well, I think there's been a kind of positive signings. I mean, that Troy Parrott looks pretty good. I read something the other day, he's just been injured and been put out.
Gary Rowett doesn't rule him out tomorrow, but he's got a quad injury and they can be difficult. We're being quoted at reasonable odds, possibly get promotion, so...
There was a tally on what the fans thought, if we get promoted next season. I think we're second.
Yeah.
There's good confidence in the team.
So... You making a difference. How can we get around to making donations, Sam?
Got the Facebook page, which is Sam Latham Climbing Kilimanjaro for the Melder House. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram under Sam Latham, then all of the details are there. Everything I do is on there. Brilliant.
Thanks for joining us, Sam, and we wish you all the best, and your mates that are helping you along the way. You'll have to come back and speak to us after the next developments.
Yeah.
You take care, and it's great what you're doing. Thanks, Sam.
Lovely. Thanks a lot, Eamon.
Yeah, that's 15 peaks, all over 3,000 foot, that they're going to have a go at, all in aid of hopefully getting to Kilimanjaro. Sam is also available on Just Giving. If you just put Sam Latham, that's Latham, is funding for Demelza Hospice. You'll find his page there. He's managed to get 12% of the total that he's looking for. So any pound at all will make a difference, because it will make, if you're a taxpayer, £1.25. And Demelza House Hospice is a great place that looks after those kids. So if you can, it'd be appreciated. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to turn over to preview our opening league game with a view from the opposition from fellow Fan Hub 100 member Ben Rowley, a Stoke fan since 2010. He says, I'm in love with the club and its fans, so much so that in the past I've created YouTube videos, spoken on podcasts, written countless blogs, and even appeared on Sky Sports. A bit like you, Jeff. All in a bid to add to the collection of content available to Stoke fans. To support his activities, he has created the YYY files because he believes it is unique, and adds, one day I may share my story too. Well, welcome, Ben.
Hey up, guys. Good evening. Yeah, this is a first for me. I've not really done a preview like this before on a podcast, so yeah, let's see how it goes.
I think it'd be great. Now, you can't beat a debut on a No One Likes Us Talking podcast, that's for sure. Ben, before we start, why must be Delilah files, is that right?
You know what? Most people ask me, why is it why?
Oh.
Thank God somebody's finally got it.
There you go.
It's absolutely to do with Delilah. I guess I liked the name at first because it was more of an in-joke between Stoke fans, but I guess it's starting to creep out now. So, yeah. But no, well done for getting that. I'm well impressed.
Okay.
It goes to show that the average Millwall fans of above average intelligence. So we worked it out without any help. Although if it had been a Millwall song, Delilah, we'd have been accused in the media of glorifying violence, wouldn't we? Because it is a song about a bloke murdering his ex-girlfriend. So
Hey, don't worry, Stoke have been done for that before
ours,
as well. You know, the naughty 40 and all. Stoke fans have been guilty in the past of some rough stuff as well.
There you go. Ben, how would you sum up your pre-season and your Carabao Cup win against Blackpool on penalties?
Pre-season off the pitch, I mean, I think our transfer activity's been pretty good, to be fair. Yeah. We've picked 4 players up on frees. Let me think off the top of my head. Stephen Fletcher, James Chester, John Obi McCall, and oh my goodness, this is testing me. I can't think of the 4th player that we picked up on a free. That's really sad. We picked up Jacob Brown as well yesterday, which is really exciting. And then on the pitch, well, I think we've only lost 1 game in pre-season, and that's pretty impressive considering that Stoke's pre-seasons in the past have been, we've lost 4-0 to Burton Albion before, so that's that wasn't great. But yeah, we beat teams like Leeds, Newcastle we beat as well, and dare I say it yet again, I'm quite excited for Stoke heading into a season in the Championship, only to be led by disappointment, I'm sure, but well, only one way to find out, and we start off with you guys, of course.
Stan?
Yeah, Ben, what I'm interested to know is, now, last season you signed Lee Gregory from Millwall. Now, personally, when I saw, when Stoke come down to Millwall last season, and I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, and to be fair, I didn't even know Gregory was on the field, which from a Millwall supporter, that's a strange, you don't often hear that, right? I mean, but and what did you make of him last season? Because I thought to myself that he'd gone to the wrong club, and that's not when I say that, it's not Stoke's fault, but I'm just, you know what I mean, he didn't just seem to fit in to me.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because when Nathan Jones was there at the start of the season, he wanted to play with 2 strikers up front, and I think Gregory would have worked well in that role as a more, not second striker, but allowing others to come into play with his hold-up play, which I think can be absolutely tremendous. Like, how the ball sticks to his feet sometimes, I'm not quite sure. I think he lost maybe the confidence he had at Millwall, because he scored a fair few goals before he left you. And his finishing just hasn't been on point for us, unfortunately, and I'm sure, as the whole squad did, lost a lot of confidence. We moved, when Michael O'Neill come in, to a more 1 striker, 3 men up front formation, and Tyrese Campbell broke through, and we can't ignore, as Stoke fans, what Tyrese Campbell has done in keeping us up. He's completely transformed our attack from something that was very sluggish into something that was very dynamic, and we really appreciate that. And unfortunately, it's seen players such as Gregory fall by the wayside. We had definitely a really bloated squad when I think we had Gregory, Sam Vokes as well, Tyrese Campbell, as I mentioned, and other names in there. Benicophobe's come back this season. We've got so many strikers, but Gregory has been featuring in pre-season, and towards the end of last and the pre-season of this, he has been scoring goals again. So will we see him in a front 2? Maybe with Campbell or Afobe, perhaps? I don't know. I understand why you think he might have joined the wrong club, particularly because we have a lot of strikers anyway. But I reckon we could make more use of him this season with a more confident squad than we did last season.
Sounds good. Jeff?
Good evening, Ben. It's good to speak to someone from the opposition doing a preview, because we're all biased, and it's nice to get the opposite point of view. So, come on, how do you feel it's going to go for your club this season? Do you think you're going to start the season well? Do you think you're a real threat to us on Saturday?
See, normally Stoke's start to a season in the league has been abysmal. I think for the last 10 years we've won very, very few games in our first 6. We've always been starting very slow. Even under Mark Hughes, when we were finishing 9th in the Premier League, we'd lose a good hatful of our first few games, and that definitely didn't change last season, for example, under Gary Rowett as well, of course, which you guys now have. We started very, very slowly, and that cost both managers their jobs. This season, though, we're on such a wave of confidence, which we've not had since probably 2015. And I am more optimistic than I was in terms of how I think we're going to approach games. I think we're going to be less scared on the ball than we were. I think the expectation on us is less as well. If you're asking in terms of the season, everyone's saying, "Oh, Stoke, they look good again. They're going to get playoffs, maybe even automatics." I'm going to be hesitant and say yes, that should be the aim. Of course, it should for somebody like Stoke City and the squad they have and the manager they have. But I think if we expect that yet again, then we're going to fall flat. And in the pre-season predictions I've done so far, I've said 7th because yes, I'd love us to make playoffs, but I just expect us to stoke it up at the very end or something like that and just finish outside. So, do I think that we're a threat to you guys? Potentially more than usual, because of course this season, the start of this season anyway, is going to be different to any other, where there's no fans in stadiums, and we all know the reputation that the Den has. I know when we've gone there, we struggled to some extent because of that atmosphere, and that's not there at the moment. And I think it's probably a good time to play you in that sense, and of course the fact that we're playing very well as well, leading off the back end of last season and the pre-season of this as well. So yeah, I do think we're a bit of a threat, to be honest. And well, I mean, I don't know if you guys are doing score predictions or whatever, but I'll save it for now. But yeah, I think we're going to be alright, you know.
Well, give us your score prediction. Come on, Ben.
Oh, I think we're going to nick a 1-0. We've been keeping fair few clean sheets in pre-season, again, against teams like Leeds and Newcastle. And our defence, for a change, looks pretty solid. And I'd like to think that it's going to stay that way. Is our attack been the most fluid? No, but I do think that we've got goals in us. And as Michael O'Neill finds the correct 11, I think we're going to have a goal in there with the attacking options that we have now and the midfield that we have now as well. I don't know whether players like John Obi Mikel are going to be ready to start. Joe Allen won't be ready, unfortunately, but we've got a good, strong midfield anyway. The defence has been bolstered. We finally signed a left-back for the first time since 2014. Yeah, I think ever since promotion the first time round, the only left-back we signed was Eric Peters. So in the last, I want to say, going on for 15, 20 years, we've only signed 2 left-backs, and one of those is this season.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's madness, really. Last season we were playing Bruno Martins Indy, bless him, left-back. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic because I know what Stoke are capable of. They're so capable of tripping over their own feet. But at the same time, Michael O'Neill is giving fans more confidence more reason to be confident than usual.
Well, that's been great to hear from you. We, of course, do not hope that you manage the 1-0 victory, and we hope that something like that goes our way too. But Gary Rowett has said he expects Stoke this season to be a very different side to the one that we faced last season. And what you didn't have to put up with on the show tonight was Jeff Burnage saying, "Nathan Jones, you've been gone too long." But he probably forgot that, as it's something to do with an American group called the Supremes. Ooh. But thanks, Ben. That was lovely. Lovely to speak to you. Yeah, take care now, and we don't wish you best of luck tomorrow, but enjoy the rest of the season when you're not playing us.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise, boys. Good luck for the season, but yeah, I hope we beat you on Saturday.
Bye, Ben.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
Well, that was nice, Eamon. He talked quite sensibly until the last couple of minutes when he predicted that we would not even score a goal. So I think his brain's left him there. Perhaps I'll play Lee Gregory at left back from what he said. What do you think?
Well, it could be, couldn't it? It's quite interesting, really. They hadn't signed, what was it, 15 years? They hadn't signed someone at a full-back or something or other?
Yeah, I've never heard of that one before.
No, I've never heard of that one. So Stan, before we dug in, we're going to talk about it. So what do you see to tomorrow's game being like?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in terms of... the point he did mention was the fact, and it does slightly bother me, but it's not really a lot you can do, I suppose, is the fact that, you know, we're going to be starting the game again and we've got no fans in the ground. And you know, I do think to some extent that affects us. I mean, perhaps we've sort of got used to it now, but no, I mean, I've got no reason to think that when we get to Saturday that we can't win the game.
Prediction?
Oh, I think we'd win it by 2-1.
Okay, Jeff.
I don't think we'll concede a goal, but I'd be happier if we had Ryan Woods, who of course can't play against his team that technically he still belongs to. Because he is on loan to us, but it is the final year of his contract. But he can't play for that reason. And it doesn't look as if Mason Bennett's fully fit yet, and it doesn't look as if Troy Parrott's going to be fully fit yet. So I'd be happy if we were at full strength, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Millwall, and Bart's going to carry on and start to retain his Golden Glove title by keeping another clean sheet.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jeff. 2-0 would do me lovely. Now, we've also got the game at Cheltenham coming up after that win at Crawley at home on Tuesday. And that could lead us into a wonderful event, a game where we might see Sheffield United, who we lost out to by a narrow defeat last season in the Cup, or even Burnley and Sean Dyche return, if we're lucky enough to beat Cheltenham at the Den on Tuesday. What's your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that, as far as I'm aware, that game kicks off at 6 p.m.
That's right.
So be very careful, everybody, when you're going on to iFollow. Don't go on at 7:30. You'll be even more disappointed this week than you were for the Crawley game, because you won't see it. But I think there'll be a lot of changes for that game. I do. I think that Gary Rowett feels he's got to use his squad, which is quite big, particularly if there are players needing to play, like the ones that haven't yet played 90 minutes, like I mentioned, Troy, Mason Bennett, two of our front players. So I still think we'll be good enough to beat Cheltenham. But the idea of playing a home game in the third round against Premier League opposition, that is mouth-watering. I'm hoping for Burnley because I'm a huge admirer of Sean Dyche, and it's a great shame that there won't be Millwall fans there to show him how appreciated he was as a player, because he certainly was. And he was part of that family atmosphere that everyone recalls from that time. Wasn't with us for very long, but by God, he did make a good impression.
He did make a difference.
I'm taking a Cheltenham, another win, another clean sheet, and move on to the third round.
Stan?
Well, I happen to agree with Jeff. I think we will beat Cheltenham. Now, I say that, I don't mean to say all we've got to do is just rock up and think it's just going to fall in our lap, because and you know, and he probably will use the change in the formation and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think we'll win it.
So that's everyone holding on to a win against Cheltenham, including myself, and I think we'll get back into the 3-goal arena plus there on Tuesday night. A nice win against Stoke, and let's hope we come back next Thursday full of joy and glee and ready to rumble. But for now, we're going to take a short break and we're going to listen to Patricia Maslin.
Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the current conditions to support the vulnerable and needy. If you can help make a difference or need help, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer, by phone on 07958 027060 or contact by email sdaly, I'll spell that, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. If you can, or you know someone or any organisation who might be able to help, please let the Community Trust know. Thank you.
People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus or as a consequence of suffering with it, and many remain hospitalised too. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends and those that take care of them.
Yeah, well, I concur with that, and it would appear that the news being what it is, it seems that, you know, the amount of cases of COVID is now beginning to rise again, which, you know, if it does, that's what somewhat worry me in all aspects of, you know, obviously for people's lives at a risk, and you know, and how long, if it is the case, how long is it going to be before we start getting football grounds filled up again? You know, but
it would be lovely, wouldn't it, Stan?
Times.
It'd be lovely to be back there, wouldn't it? Missing it like crazy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Next week, Gary will be here with Dave, Ted, and I'll be back next Friday. So we'll have 3 matches to report on, Stoke, Cheltenham and Millwall Lionesses at Stevenage. And hopefully the No One Likes Us Talking team will behave impeccably for Gary hosting the show. Good night from me.
The first episode of a new series focusing on the role of the Millwall Community Trust was released this Tuesday past, and featured, as we all know, our very own Jeff Burnage and Peter Varney, the mentor to Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer. Overall, the series will focus on what the Trust is, what it does and those that benefit from its work. Watch out on our Facebook and Twitter groups and other Millwall social media sites for updates. Player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available for the forthcoming season. Why not give them some added support, and you can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you'll find them very easily. We have led by example and sponsored their captain, Libby Stubbs. Lastly, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there, which means social distancing and a face mask where necessary. Well, that's it for me. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Stan. Until the next time, good night.